Okay? There isn't. No one can give me an answer. And if the government come out and says, right, we're going to start having money, it's going to be Smarties, you'd all laugh. Till you wanted another packet of fags, you went and got as many Smarties as you could get. But that's the truth of it. This is why it's an illusion. It's laughable and you're laughing about it. But I use the stuff to get here tonight. You'll use the stuff to get home tonight. You've used the stuff to buy drinks. But use it and look at it and realise what it really is. An illusion. And it's the thing that enslaves you. Because what do you have to do every working day of your life? Get as much of that stuff to survive. And most people only survive. So next time you look at it, next time you take it out of your pocket, don't think about it because you don't have to. Just realise what it is. And we don't need it. There's a fascinating article on our website. Talks about a post-money world. And it's fascinating. So don't believe that you need that stuff. Don't let these people destroy your lives because of this stuff. But this is the truth. The very principles of money, according to the principles, there is nothing there, just a piece of paper. And it enslaves you, and that's what it was created to do. That's what banks were created to do. What Article 61 was a security clause built into Magna Carta. And basically, if things started to really get bad, it says there, seizing castle lands and possessions. I wouldn't quite suggest doing that. But what it did say is, and it does talk about persons, it is legal, it's a legal document, but what it said to me was that lawful, peaceful hindrance without violence. Okay? And that's the key. Non-violent. Okay? Because if you do this with violence, if you try and sort anything out with violence, violence will only ensue. If you do this peacefully, for once in the history of this world, maybe peace will ensue. This is lawful rebellion, okay? It's lawful. That's the big part. It's lawful. You're not doing anything that's against the law. And remember, the law and the legal world are two different things, are two different entities. One's real, one's an illusion. I peacefully resist all claims against this piece of paper, the person, by refusing to consent to the corporation's policy. But see, the officers don't understand it. They don't know. Unless you get to Chief Inspector level, then they understand, because that is fun. They really do understand the rules of the game. And I prove it because Chief Inspector Hewitt of Hertfordshire Constabulary rang me at 11:45 one night to discuss an incident that he wouldn't do because of statutory legislation. And I said that he had a common law duty to do it. And guess what? He did it. He overruled statutory legislation and he used common law. The reason being is because he knew, I knew, the rules of the game.
Can you get the chief, if you're in the police station?
Oh, absolutely. Do you know what the powerfulest thing to say to the police? Can I now place on record your refusal? That word strikes bells in these people. Because if you refuse a contract, it's called dishonour. And they know that. It must be the only way, because I don't know how it works. All I know is that I threatened the Chief Inspector with common law, and the incident was over a noisy neighbour, would you believe? It wasn't nothing to do with me, it was my stepson. I even proved that the sergeant that night committed perjury. He lied through his teeth. Absolutely lied through his teeth. Remember as well, you're walking into an environment, you have absolutely no protection. You have no protection from these people. They can do what they want. I've got stories. I've got no reason to disbelieve it. And a gentleman's coming to see me tomorrow. He was threatened with being hung up by his left leg until he consented.
Yeah, I was threatened with violence.
Richard was threatened. Carolyn's threatened. Do you know why? Because they're frightened of you. They are seriously frightened of you. They're frightened of the words you use. What I would always ask is, am I obliged to answer your questions? Okay? Am I obliged? All right? I would ask them, under what authority and under what law are you acting? As I now know, you will be arrested for obstructing an officer in his duty. What I would ask is, due to who? The trouble is, these people are being trained into being this fiction. They're not being trained as they used to be. Any corporation has employees. The employees are not just civil servants, they're all of you. Every one of you. If you have a national insurance number, that means you too are an employee. Company policy of this corporation requires you as an employee to pay tax, follow all the legislative rules of that corporation, in this case, statutes. As in any company, if you break the rules, you will be disciplined under that company's legislation. The police of the United Kingdom Corporation are all companies too, run for profit. Directors, shareholders, they all want a profit. And where does that profit come from? The corporate policy enforcement officers, their job is to enforce the rules of the corporation. The courts of the United Kingdom Corporation are all companies run for profit as well. If you break the rules, you will get an invite, which is a summons. You will to their place of business to discuss your punishment. Except that they are not inviting you, you just think they are. Even the highest court in the land is a corporation, the House of Lords. So, we believe that the courts are issuing us justice. We believe that we're going to get a lawful trial. There is a massive difference between lawful and legal. Massive difference. You like this picture? This is very, very important. I want to explain something. A policeman, a human being, his duty under common law of this land is to serve and protect every individual in this land. You've heard Albert say this today. That is his duty. That is what he does his job for, to serve and protect and never, ever delay right or justice to any individual in this land. That's their job. They must uphold the common law. But they have a fiction attached to them called a police officer. Now, if you look at the word officer, it comes from the corporate world. What's a CEO? Chief Executive Officer. It's all officers. They're unbelievable. This man on my right is who enforces statutes on you. This man protects you. But the trouble is, the boys in blue, who I've got all the admiration in the world for, because I've got a lot of friends in the police force, don't know the difference. They don't know the difference anymore. And some of them didn't know the difference in the first place, because they're being told wrong. They're not being told about this bit, they're only being told about this bit. And funny enough, I had a conversation with Albert the other day, and he was telling me some things that are going on in the police force regarding their training at the moment. And all of them are being trained to be this. Okay? So when you meet these people, what we're trying to do is, I wouldn't say educate them, we're trying to bring them to an understanding of what they really are and what they're supposed to do. And I recently, same as Albert did, I went for a police force from down the bottom to a chief inspector, and made a chief inspector, overall statutory legislation, and you go back to common law. Anybody can do it. You just got to know the language to speak, because there's a language they're using against you that you do not understand. You might think you do, because it's English, but it's their language. It's called legalese. It's a language of the law society. Any society, I'll go into this in a bit, but any society, you can start a society tomorrow and create your own language. Anybody can do it. So we need to just gently tell these people. Now, we have methods of talking to these people that sometimes prevents us being dragged down ourselves. And I will be going into that. But it doesn't always work. Because if they're going to slap the cuffs off you and drag you away, they're going to do it. Okay? And you might as well just make it easy, but always let them know that you are protesting. Peacefully. No violence. No violence whatsoever. This is not about violence. It's a bit like Gandhi said, an eye for an eye just ends up with the world being all blind. Okay? Failure to differentiate between a statute and law is gross negligence, which is equivalent to fraud. Remind them this applies to anyone who's trying to enforce a statute upon me, no matter who they are. Because it's not being forced on me, it's being forced on that piece of paper. I remind them that the person you are trying to act upon is nothing more than a piece of paper, and I would explain why. If I receive a fixed penalty notice about my car which states it applies to the owner, I'm going to send it to the owner. This applies to any fixed penalty notice I receive regarding something I've been duped into registering. If I receive an on-the-spot fine, I will send it to the GRO with a copy of my birth certificate saying you created the person, you own the place, and you pay the fine. But it's nothing to do with me, it's to do with that piece of paper. I told you before. If I get a summons to go to court, I'm going to send a copy of birth certificate and tell them, crack on! I'm sorry, but it's that simple. That's how simple it is. We've been bashing our heads against the wall trying to say to ourselves, how are we going to fight this? How are we going to fight it? It's so simple. Rob, wait. One piece of paper in our world creates 10 in theirs. Okay? That's what it creates. It creates 10. You don't have to do the maths for you. Work it out for yourself. And this is very, very important. Very important indeed. Because this is what they basically do. Take all that crap off, okay? And that's, you agree to it. They sent you an offer, they give you the consideration, and you accept it. It's nothing but a contract. That's all it is. You just don't know it is. My point is this. Lawful rebellion is about lawful hindrance. This is when I said to you earlier about non-violence. This is peaceful. It is about a legal illusion. Use their own legal illusion against them. Just simply do it. Just use their own illusion. Do this with a smile on your face. Do it peacefully and kindly, because the real victims here are the ones who actually believe they are a person. They're the victims. All the bad in the world is caused because of this problem, the person. Everything that goes on in this world is caused by this. If I do this enough, and sooner or later the truth will emerge. And they will have to defend the registration process, the birth certificate, and finally, money. They will have to defend it. Everyone will realise it is an illusion. I am a man. I am not a person. A person is just an affliction of my mind in one world and a piece of paper in another. If I do not want to be controlled, then I don't want to have control over anything. The only way to find true freedom is to sacrifice the person.